Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Thanks for joining me, Business Building Warrior. This is the show where we spend time talking about e-commerce opportunities through the lens of proven. What does that mean? The ideas we discuss here have been time tested. There are dozens or hundreds of other people in our community right now who are making a lot of money using the exact strategies we're talking about. We don't spend time on fluff or theory. We spend time on what's working right now. Our flagship training, which is what we offer to anyone who says, hey, I'm an open book. I'm ready to do some work. I want a flexible income stream using the internet creatively in my spare time. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money to get started. I've just got a little money to test this out, to get proof of concept. What do you have for me? Our flagship offer for that person, which is where we take most of our students, is what we call our low, low, high model. Low investment required, low learning curve, low barriers to entry, very high odds of success if you follow the system, because we take you to, if you imagine yourself as a fisherman, we take you to the largest imaginable ocean of opportunity that is the most well-stocked with the most fish and has the least amount of other fishermen already there. It is the lowest risk, lowest cost, lowest barrier to entry, highest odds of success pool that you could fish in. We should say rapidly expanding blue ocean. And that's what we teach in the Proven Amazon course as our initial starting business model. And you can hear hundreds of people who have succeeded with that model right on the show. Just scroll back in time. You'll hear interviews. Or you can jump into our Facebook group. You'll see over 3,000 posts from students who have followed our training and went on to succeed. But that's not the topic today. The topic today is some lessons I've learned. I'm about 23, 24 years into the only income that my family has had as we've raised 5 kids and homeschooled them. I've been married over 30 years to my wife from college. Hey, the only income we've had on that long period of time puts me in a special place to talk about some of the big lessons that I've learned relying on e-commerce and the internet to build income streams. So some of this might be obvious. Some of this you might have heard before. Some of these stories, it's been so long ago since I shared them that it will be new. And even if you've been around a while, I've got something good for you today. I broke it down into several T's. Every word today that I'm going to dive into starts with the letter T. I've got tragedies, I've got team, I've got time, I've got tactics and tools. We're going to spend some time on each of those today, maybe not in that order, but I do want to tell a couple stories as we get going. Some of these stories have helped shape the way I see e-commerce and the internet. You see, there's more opportunity there than any of us have started to wrap our minds around. Sometimes people have a negative or a scarcity mindset about the internet, and they think they've got it figured out, and they think they've kind of drawn a circle around what is and isn't legitimate. That's a scary place to be, because I can tell you, after 2 decades in this arena, I'm learning and discovering and finding new ways to monetize and build exciting income streams and to serve with excellence and grow my network. I'm learning new things that I probably should have known a long time ago. I'm learning them virtually every day, or at least a good handful per week. You've got to maintain your curiosity. You've got to maintain that sense of wonder and awe at just the sheer expanse and possibilities of the internet. I mean, you don't have to go back in time very far, 25, 30 years. That's just a tiny sliver of time in world history, to where the thought of having an international business and connecting with people all over the planet anytime you wanted to discuss opportunities and build relationships, it was unfathomable. No one even thought of it or considered it as a possibility. Yet here we are. We're virtually for free. Anytime you want, you can connect with anyone else you want, anywhere in the world, and sell anything you want. The opportunities are truly endless. So what I'm proud of that we've accomplished in our community, the leadership team has been committed to this for a very long time, and we've received the industry accolades and rewards and all the recognition that comes with it. We've got colleges using our content. We've got a lot of different things going on. But the thing that I've learned is to stay humble and stay curious and continue to learn constantly, because behind every corner is someone who's been doing it less time than you, who's succeeding using a strategy that never would have occurred to you, and they're killing it. The dangerous place to be is when you think you've kind of learned it all, you've seen it all, you're skeptical now, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I think I'm going to put that over there on the shelf. I'm not going to play with that. There's just too many things that could go wrong. You lose that adventurous spirit. See, here's the thing that has changed with the internet. About the mid 90s or so, maybe early 90s, you could say something dramatically changed. Business has always been done the same way. It will always be done the same way. The rules of business have been simple from the beginning of time till now. Those are never going to change. You've got to produce a product that you can make a profit delivering to happy clients so they pay you so you can get more clients. Those rules are never going to change. But what changed in the early 90s? What changed is you could begin testing. That's another T word I should probably add to my list today. And then we'll start here and I'll get into a couple stories and then we'll get into the lessons. Okay. But you should be testing new things constantly. When you stop learning and you stop testing and you stop trying, there's another good word, T word, trying. When you stop doing that, you're missing out on what's arguably the greatest tool of human connection and relationship building and business that's ever been available to any of us. Test new ideas constantly. The way the internet changed the game was it made testing not only possible, but it made it abundantly available. It made trying new ideas so obvious and so abundantly available to any and all of us that some people take it for granted. They use the internet to swipe up, swipe down, scroll around, waste time, rather than seeing it as a tool, a power tool for connection and influence. You could grow an amazing business trying a few dollars here, a few dollars there, a free app here, a free thing there, a question to an AI bot. You can start some serious things rolling in your favor online just by trying and testing and being willing to fail. Being willing to test and fail. That's what the internet changed, is you can now test and fail at multiple ideas, several per week if you want. Even after you've got a viable, vibrant, exciting business rolling, you should be testing and failing and trying new things constantly, because the price of failure has fallen to the point it's so low, it's never been this low in human history. So learning to embrace failure and try new things constantly, that's rule number one. Try, test, fail constantly. And what we do in our community is we've done a lot of that. And there's a lot of really great ideas. Don't make the mistake of thinking we only teach one thing here. We teach all kinds of great strategies. But when we're asked what's the lowest risk, lowest cost, lowest barrier to entry idea that I could learn the quickest, with the highest odds of building a beautiful business, profitable business, sustained over the long period of time, what's the best possible business option you have for me? Well, that's what we teach to all new sellers who join the Proven Amazon course. Again, the hundreds of success stories on this podcast, the thousands of testimonials on our Facebook group, that's the path they all took. But what are some of the bigger lessons? That's what I want to get into. Here's a couple stories you may not have heard. Did you know that we have a student in our community who started off living in his mom's garage behind her house because he was so broke he could barely keep his small coffee shop open? And now he's in 35,000 grocery stores. Had you heard that story before? Yeah, we've got those kind of stories. Did you know I once ran an auction on eBay? Started the bidding at $1, and the offer was, hey, I'll write a book with you, and when we're done, you'll own the book, and you can do whatever you want with it. I'll help you promote it, and then I'll give it to you. The guy who won that auction paid about $35,000 for the privilege. We wrote a book together, launched it. To this day, he still calls it the best investment he possibly could have ever made. That's a fun story, isn't it? Did you know that on a whim, a bunch of us met in a hotel conference room about 14 years ago from this community? Just sent an email, said, hey, my family's going to be in Orlando. Here's where we're staying. They said we could use the conference room. Yeah, we had a thrown together AV system. It was terrible. The audio visual was terrible. I was a nervous wreck. but a few hundred of us gathered and we had a great time. That event turned into an annual conference that is now the longest running annual event of Amazon sellers in the world. Didn't see that coming, but here we are. Those are some of the stories from over the years that have kind of organically happened, the things that have drifted into our community. But it's because we've embraced some of the principles that I'm about to share with you right now that I believe we've lasted as long as we have. Did you know we have the longest running e-commerce coaching program in the world? Specifically for small business owners, for people who are saying, hey, I want to work from home. I want a flexible schedule. I need a business that works. I want to use e-commerce to build a real business. We've been coaching that longer than anyone in the world. Nearly 10,000 students served over the past 20 plus years. Jim Cockrum Coaching is what we've called it from day one. Maybe a terrible name choice. No one can spell my name right. That's where we stuck everything at silentjimdotcom. You can see a link to our coaching program there. The Silent Sales Machine book that sold over 1 million copies. I wrote it on a weekend, the first version. It's in version 11 now, 20 plus years later. You can get it for free at silentjim.com/free11. I'll stick a link in the show notes if I can remember to do that when this episode's over. But those are just a few stories. And from those stories have emerged observations and lessons that apply 100% to your business, to your life, to where you are. If you're trying to build a beautiful business that fits into those hours that you have available to you and fits into the budget that you have available to you, that excess margin, assuming you have any, if you've got a little bit of margin and you apply these lessons, you can build a beautiful business. But if you ignore the lessons I'm about to share with you, your odds of making it long-term or building something beautiful, it starts to plummet. It starts to fall dramatically. I say this from having watched not just hundreds, not just thousands, but over 10,000 just coaching students come through this organization over the past 20 years. Probably a couple 100,000. I don't know. I need to go back and look how many students have paid us for content and gone on to use it in creative ways to build businesses. But these are some of the big lessons. Let's dive in to my T's. Remember my T words? I had tragedy, team, time, tactics, and tools. Let's start with tragedy, the big scary word on the list. What do I mean by tragedy? Well, I mean making mistakes. It's frustrating to me to be in the position I'm in and to have some very clear, well-lit foundational concepts that we teach, and we can teach them to you in a couple days. For $39, you get our entire library of Amazon seller content, $39 a month. Turn it off anytime you want. Proven, amazoncourse.com. But so many people come into our community and they've been burned, or they're skeptical, or whatever reason they have, they just don't want to spend any money on education. And I can tell them till I'm blue in the face. We can repeat it over and over. We do say the same things. Our Facebook group has about 82,000 people in it. You'll see a lot of the same themes over and over and over, where we're trying to talk new students into not making the most basic foundational of tragic mistakes. You can shoot yourself in the foot before you even get started just by doing things that seem instinctually correct. Just one example of many, and I'll give you a link where you can go read about all the rest of the mistakes we see, is people come in and say, oh, I heard drop shipping is awesome because you don't even have to buy your inventory. You just put stuff up for sale, and then if something actually sells, you go back to your source and you have it shipped. Beautiful. Let's drop ship on Amazon. Well, it's a tragic mistake to go down that road. I'm not going to dive into it right now, but I can tell you of the last 500 people that I heard doing drop shipping, if you talk to any of them a year later, all 500 of them said, that was a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. That was terrible. The only person that made any money was the clown that sold me a course on how to drop ship. But yet people show up every day. They watched a YouTube video. They heard it's amazing. They're thinking about buying a course. They're asking questions from a dropship lens on Amazon, thinking, I don't have to ever even buy my inventory till someone's bought something. It's awesome. No, it's not awesome. It is a way to lose your Amazon selling privileges. It's a way to get your account frozen and lose a bunch of money. Be excited for a couple months till you figure out the reality of the thing. I actually interviewed a guy one time on our show who was drop shipping at scale. This guy had a multiple 7-figure business, sales, but he was losing more than he was earning because of the team and the machine he needed to turn in order to make those kind of numbers happen. Even at scale, it doesn't work. Don't do it. If you don't want to see and touch your inventory, there's options for doing that. It's not shipped to your house. It's shipped to a prep center and they handle it and send it in with your labels. We teach that. But drop shipping is a mistake. So let's not talk about all the possible mistakes. There is a link at silentjim.com/mistakes. silentjim.com/mistakes. That's a redirect link that takes you right into our free Facebook group where you will see a Facebook post where we've listed out all the mistakes you're likely to make if you don't get some good instruction. Now, if you find yourself going through that article and thinking, wow, how am I going to avoid all these mistakes? I don't want to do this myself. I'd rather just have someone take me by the hand and walk me through this. Well, that's what the Proven Amazon course is, $39 a month. You avoid all those mistakes. You can even get a coach from our team, one of the most successful students from our community. Many of them have been on our podcast. You've heard them tell their stories. And they'll walk you through this process, showing you where the guardrails are on this highway so you can just step on the gas and go as far as you want, as fast as you want, without worrying about driving off a cliff because you did something silly that seemed to make sense at the time. That's why instruction helps. So how do you avoid tragedies? Doing things that seem to make sense, trying to be smarter than the system. It's funny to me to see people who say, I am not going to spend a dime on my e-commerce education. I refuse to spend a penny. So what they spend in time instead is time, energy, costly mistakes, regrets, having to go back and start over, having to try 15 different things because there was a cool YouTube video or a cool promo they saw on Instagram. And they realize finally one day, wow, okay, I need to find the right community and do this with some help instead of going it alone, getting distracted constantly. We call it shiny object syndrome, bouncing from thing to thing, never really doing much of anything. And you end up with, in some cases, years of regret and nothing to show for it. And maybe some head knowledge and some terminology, but you haven't made any money yet. That's tragic. How do you avoid it? You find the right community. You find the right team. There's my next word. I'm going to go from tragedy to team. How do you avoid tragedies? You get the right team. There's an ancient African proverb. It's also credited to one of my favorite all-time coaches, John Wooden, who said something like this: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take a team. And man, if that does not define e-commerce business opportunity, if you're trying to do it alone and you're bouncing from thing to thing to thing because you don't want to be slowed down, you don't want to pay anyone a course. I'm not going to pay someone $50 for their training. I'm going to figure it out. Everything's free online anyway. What you don't realize is you're getting all the bad information and all the dated advice and all the people who don't know what they're talking about mixed in with the people who do. How are you going to know the difference? That's a valid question. How will you possibly know the difference between the really good, solid, sound, firm advice and advice that's coming from someone who has no business trying to teach you how to do anything? How do you know? Do you have a test? I'll give you a test. There's another T word. I'll give you a test you can use right now. Okay, before we jump into team, let me give you the test you can use. You will never waste another penny paying someone who isn't worthy for their content, for their training, for their coaching, for their time. It's easy. It's really easy. You're going to slap yourself in the forehead when you hear this. You've never heard it before. This is very useful. Here's how you avoid ever wasting money on someone who doesn't deserve any of your time or attention. You simply ask them, where's the community of students hanging out right now who are using your strategies? Where do they hang out? Where are they interacting with each other? Where do they spend their time online? I want to talk to the people who have bought your high-end programs. I want to talk to the people who have been in your community just a couple of weeks and are just starting to kick the tires. I want to hang out with all of them. I want to meet them. I want to interact with them. I want to ask them questions. I want to see how they talk about the business opportunity. I want to see the whole thing. Pull back the curtain for me. And as you might guess, what's going to happen 99% of the time? the expert or guru or the person who put up the cool Instagram ad is going to say something like, well, we don't reveal the confidential blah, 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 blah. People don't want to have the information revealed to them. No, that's a smokescreen. What they're really saying is we don't have any successful students. We don't have a group of people who have followed our ideas to success. Because if they did, those people would be finding each other and hanging out somewhere. 100% of the time, without exception, if the stuff they're teaching works, the people who are using the system will gather and they will form a community and they will be talking about it. 100%, no exceptions. So it's a simple question. You just have to say, hey, where are they hanging out? I'd love to be part of that community. You will either get no answer or you get something about, we can't reveal the privacy of our customer, blah, 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 blah. That just means hide your wallet, don't give them a penny, and probably stop ignoring their advice as well along the way. So what do we do here? We've got an 82,000 Facebook group, 82,000 members. All of our high-end coaching students are in there. All the people who are just enjoying our free content and listening to this podcast are in there. Everything in between. People who have been with us for a couple decades are in there. Transparency. Come on in, check it out. There's a link at silentjimdotcom. You can jump in there. It's the only reason many of us still use Facebook. It's just a convenient place for us to hang out. And you'll see that's where we have 3,000 success posts, hundreds of podcast guests. You can look them up by their name. You can have a chat with them in our Facebook group. That's transparency. That's the kind of team that you need with you, around you, the accountability, the relationships. I'm not going to go down that road too far right now. I could do a whole podcast episode on the value of relationships. I'll just say it this way. There's very few exceptions to the rule of people who surround themselves with community and relationships, and they're intentional about it. In e-commerce, if you're intentional about that, those are the people who succeed. It's not that people who succeed tend to surround themselves with other successful people. That's not what I just said. I said, if you surround yourself with other successful people, those are the people who go on to succeed. The relationships, if they're done intentionally, lead to success. We see it over and over again. And the opposite is true. People who isolate themselves, either through negativity or scarcity mindset, or they see everyone as a competitor, or I don't need relationships. I'm just going to sit behind my glowing keyboard. Somebody tell me what buttons to hit so I can make some money. Those people never make any money. You've got to dive into a community. You need a team. I'm not saying you need to go hire a bunch of people right out of the gate. That's a mistake, actually. That's a huge mistake. You can do it on your own as far as the work goes, starting off. When we've got people with tiny staffs, like 1, 2 people working for them with multiple 7-figure businesses. But in all cases, they have relationships. They have community. They have a mastermind that they formed, or they meet up with other small business owners and e-commerce business builders in their local community. We facilitate this, by the way. If you go to silentjim.com/near-me, that will transfer you into our Facebook group to a post where people are talking about what city they live in, mastermind groups, and that sort of thing. And we show you how to navigate that and find others who live near you. Odds are, because of the size of our group, there's probably already a handful of people who are very involved in e-commerce in your local area that meet on a regular basis. Find them, interact with them, even if they're doing a business slightly different than yours. The business opportunities, the ideas that will be generated, and the fact that you'll be doing it with others, it's going to pay huge dividends. So we've talked about tragedies and avoiding them. Get a good instruction, get good coaching from someone who knows what they're talking about. We offer all of that. If you want to look around a little bit more, make sure wherever you land offers a community, a group of people who are already doing the business model that you're considering doing. One of the reasons that we're so excited, by the way, about Amazon and the businesses represented there is the fact that, to my knowledge, no other company has come anywhere near creating as many millionaires in world history. No company has created as many millionaires as Amazon, and they're growing rapidly. I'm not talking about the investors. I'm talking about the people who sell product on their platform, because half of all the transactions every day in America, approximately, are happening on Amazon. If you add up eBay and Shopify and Etsy and all the other sites together, they don't add up to half of what, although the top 20, they don't add up to half of what Amazon's doing every day. They're a monster. Amazon is a huge and rapidly growing pool of opportunity. And you're allowed to sell most of the stuff that's being sold on their site. And millions of those products are very popular, but they're understocked and unstocked. That's the opportunity we want to teach you about when you first get rolling. But learning these skills will open up many other doors of opportunity if you are in the right community. A specific example of that might be one of our students who was humming along with a great business. One of the brands they were selling, he started to build a relationship with because he was selling quite a bit of it. He thought, hey, I'm going to try to figure out a way to wholesale or go to a distributor and buy more of this. Well, that struck up a relationship. They ended up hiring him. They bought his business. He's a highly paid consultant, helping that brand grow on Amazon now, making more money than he was before. And he sold his Amazon business to them. And they just shut it down because they wanted his full time and attention on their brand. Those are the kind of organic opportunities that bubble up out of the relationships you'll form as you do business on Amazon the right way. It's not about just selling random widgets to strangers the rest of your life, although that is an honorable, virtuous business where you hire good people and you build a beautiful business. All kinds of relationships and opportunities can come out of that. But you don't have to stay there. You could launch your own brand eventually. You could help other brands with consulting. All kinds of opportunities will emerge as you understand the basics. All right, so let's move on to the next T of tactics. I've kind of already hit this one, but what I mean by tactics, and I was just trying to look for a fancy T word, it's really following the right system, following the right program. And I've already hit that there's one that we really focus on if you're new. But please hear me when I say there's so many great ways to make money online, and those doors will begin to open for you once you have momentum. So make sure you're following the right tactics, the right practices, the right principles early on in your business, because that momentum of seeing some numbers going into your bank account, getting some balls rolling in the right direction with relationships involved, that's going to open up so many doors. But if you start off with the wrong tactics, you start off with the wrong ideas. I gave you some of the mistakes earlier that we've seen people make. Remember drop shipping, for example, right? We see people do things the wrong way. One of the other tactics might be, for example, where you go down the wrong path, is you get the misconception that selling on Amazon as a reseller means going from store to store to store, scanning barcodes, looking for sales and discounts, and hoping that they've got stuff in the clearance aisle that's good this week. Because you heard someone else was doing that and they made $20,000 last year. So I'm going to do that too. Now, you can make some money that way, but it's such a grind. It's such a treadmill. You're on a hamster wheel, and you will have days where you get up early on a Saturday and you go hit 9 stores and you come home and you made $200 when it's all said and done. And you think to yourself, man, that's a rough way to make a living. I don't think I like reselling on Amazon. Well, you're using the wrong tactics. See, one of the things that we commit to around here when we teach something is that it's scalable, it's automatable. You can build a system. There's tools and software that can help you completely automate that business if you go down the path that we're teaching. You can't do that if you're scanning barcodes. You just can't. If you go on vacation, you're not scanning barcodes, you're not going to make any money. The systems we teach are far simpler. Well, let me just give you the big picture in case you weren't aware. Many of our listeners to this podcast know what we're teaching when it comes to being a successful reseller. But it's really 2 basic steps. You find a whole bunch of products that you're eligible to sell or hope to be eligible to sell someday, which ungating happens over time. The more you sell, the more gates fall open. So you get a big old list of products, and then you have software that tells you which of them make the most sense to sell at any given time. And that's where you invest your money, depending on how much you have. We hear from students all the time, I run out of my money for inventory way before I run out of great inventory that I can buy, because they understand the 2-step process. Find a bunch of ASINs or a bunch of inventory, and then let the software, 3P Mercury, tell me which ones make the most sense to buy at any given time. And you haven't heard me mention 3P Mercury yet. I'm going to put myself a note here. So I'll be sure to stick a link to that in the notes today. And by the way, if there's anything I talk about today and you want to discuss it further, jump into our Facebook group. Say, hey, Jam, I heard you talking about this topic. I heard you introduce this term. What's it mean? Can someone help me? We love helping new sellers or anyone who's confused, for that matter, with any of the details from our shows. So let's do it. Let's talk. Jump into the Facebook group. All right, what's next? I talked about tactics. Let's talk about tools. Tools. Well, I just gave you one, 3P Mercury. That is the premier tool in our industry that has changed the lives of hundreds and hundreds of students in our community. Even recently, it's catching fire. It's not that old of a tool. Our community helped shape and develop and create this tool. We kind of crowdsourced the creative features of this thing because what we wanted to do was completely automate to the greatest degree possible. And then we've got plenty more things coming soon with that tool. But the workflow, the process of being a reseller on Amazon, let's let a tool do all the possible heavy lifting that it can. The creator of this tool, Kang, built a $3 million business with two workers who did all the work. Kang even talks about traveling through Europe for a couple of months and just checking his stats. Two workers did all the work for a $3 million reselling business that was operating at tremendous margins. So, how do you get there with the right tools? What tools are involved? Are there other tools you're going to need? We walk you through this process. I think the better question to ask in regards to tools is, what's the basic level I need? And over time, what might the tool set and the software set look like that I'm going to need as I grow and expand? Well, the basics include a $39 a month Amazon seller account as of the time of this recording, about $40 a month for that, about $39 a month for proven Amazon course, although the price might go up, the monthly price. If you're not grandfathered in at that price, get on it now because before the end of 2025, that price will go up probably significantly. But right now it's only about $40 a month for that, right? So you've got your Amazon seller account, you've got your training, and you've got a tool called Keepa, which is the industry leading insight into Amazon's data because they scrape Amazon's public data all day, every day, and give you a great insight into where you should invest your inventory funds. Learning to read that data, that's a lot of what our training is. But that's the basics. That's about $100 a month, $500 to $1,000 or so for inventory, and you're off to the races. Selling stuff, rolling that money back into your business. If you want to go a little further, a little faster, yes, you could put more money into your inventory, but that's the basics of what you need. That's it. So what tools are you going to need? I just gave you the list. Keepa, that's it. But you're going to want to transition to 3P Mercury very quickly because as you find products that maybe don't look that great today, maybe you're not even eligible to sell them today, but you will be someday, and you might want to sell it someday, you can dump all those products into the software, even if you're not selling it yet. Over time, you're going to have a nice catalog, is what we call it, a nice list of products. And you can open that catalog up with 3P Mercury and say, hey, what makes the most sense for me to invest in today? And this software will tell you, here's the top 20, here's the top 30, or the top 50 products that I think it makes the most sense for you to buy right now based on the data, the evidence that we see for these products. You'll find many products, many days that are entirely unstocked. Popular last month, but now there's no sellers. Amazon doesn't have any, nobody's selling it. There it is in your catalog, waiting for you to hop on it, put a profitable price on there, go buy a few units and send them in. You will run out of money before you run out of inventory once you're running the system the way we teach it. That's the reality of this business model, run at scale with 3P Mercury as the foundation. This is something that hasn't always been possible. It's becoming increasingly more possible and viable for more and more sellers at any given time. We've identified there are millions of underserved and completely unstocked products in Amazon's catalog. Using the right tools, you can automate your workflow. You can let software do the heavy lifting. So using the right tools becomes important because I've seen too many people at this stage in my career who have spent their time just on a hamster wheel, scanning barcodes, digging through bins of books, hoping that the clearance aisle has some good stuff at this Walmart. And if not, they're going to drive across town to the other Walmart and hit that clearance aisle. That's not a way to build a real business. That's a hobby that happens to pay, but it's not a sellable asset of a business. It's not something that you can automate, put a team in place, step back and watch the wheels turn. That's what I want for you. That's what we're trying to help you build. So if you use the right tools and you get the right training, that's what's possible. If you try to wing it and go it alone because you saw a cool Instagram video and you think you can try to figure it out because you figured out what software they're using to scan barcodes, I'm going to go do that all day, every day. You can find yourself hopping on a hamster wheel without realizing it, running full speed, putting a little money in the bank, enough to justify the effort, while never really building a real system, never really building a real business. Hey, by the way, we'd love to talk to you about this kind of stuff. If you ever want to jump on a free phone call with us, I take some of these calls. Consultants on our team who work with Amazon sellers and brands all day, every day, they are happy to talk to you as well. Just help map out a great strategy for you and your business. You can jump on our schedule anytime. If you go to silentjimdotcom, click on coaching, it takes you to a page. And here's a direct link to that page, by the way, silentjim.com/book a call. On that page, you're going to see a calendar. You can grab a time slot, or you can text us. There's a phone number on that page, or you can call us anytime as well, US business hours. We'd love to have a chat with you. Let's have a connection time and just talk about where you are now, where you want to get. Use our lens of experience to give you a little feedback and talk to you about what your options are, what resources we have to help you on your way. That's what we do all day, every day. That's how we came up with 3,000 success posts in our Facebook group. We help entrepreneurs succeed. So let's have that conversation. All right, what's left on my list? We've talked about tools. We talked about tragedy. We talked about time. What's left? Oh, we haven't talked about time yet. We talked about team. We haven't talked about time. Let's talk about time. One of the keys to success. I've seen too many people waste too much time bouncing from idea to idea to idea, trying a little bit here, trying a little bit there. Time is your greatest asset. One of the members in our community once said, the only thing more expensive than getting the right coaching and training is not getting the right coaching and training and wasting your time for the next months or years trying to figure it out on your own. Time is a precious asset. If you've got someone that can shortcut the amount of time it takes you to get from A to B in e-commerce, it's worth the investment. I mean, unless we're talking about an exorbitant amount of money with someone who's unproven and unknown, and you're just not sure, you feel like you're rolling the dice a little bit, it's just not necessary to take those big risks. Remember, I talked about how the internet changed the risk game in business? It went from being a very risky proposition to start a business where you wouldn't know for months or years if you had a good idea. All that time, effort, energy, and resources dumped into this thing, hoping someday it works out. You don't have to do business that way anymore. You can if you choose to, but it's not necessary. Instead, you find the right people at a reasonable price who can shortcut your learning curve. The opportunity to have someone come alongside you who has a great reputation, a proven track record. They know what they're talking about. They can help you avoid all the tragedies. They can keep you from wasting your time, stumbling around in the dark. They take you by the hand, walk you through the process, get you into the arena where you can then go full speed using the tools, training, the resources you've been exposed to. That's what we do here. I would argue better than anyone in e-commerce based on our list of successful students. We take people from clueless newbies and turn them into e-commerce champions. We've been doing it for a long time. That's who all of our coaches are. That's who all of our leaders and content creators are. People who were clueless newbies who went through our process and now they contribute in some way as one of their income streams, which is why we charge a few dollars for our coaching. Because if you want the time and attention and dedication of someone, we need to know you're serious. We need to know you've got a little skin in the game, and we'd be excited to help you. But just because you raise your hand and say, hey, I want 30 hours of someone's time to help me make this happen, we don't know if you're serious. We don't know if you're committed. We don't know if you're going to stick with the process. It could be a total waste of our time. But if you're willing to invest in yourself, we're ready to talk to you. We're ready to work with you. That's what our coaching is. That's how we save you time, is by taking you by the hand. Even if you get into our proven Amazon course, you're going to see a getting started roadmap there that baby steps you one little step at a time. That's only $39 per month for the proven Amazon course library. 100 of us have contributed to the content, the training, the modules, the thought processes for $39 a month. It's easily worth a couple $1,000s per month if you put the ideas to work. But we keep the price super low because we don't want price to be a roadblock. We don't want it to be a barrier between you and your success. So the price is super low, but it handholds you. Save yourself so much time. Stop bouncing around YouTube. Stop bouncing around wondering if this guy's good or that guy. Stop asking, well, does that guy resonate with me? Or does that video resonate with me? Don't look for what resonates. Look for evidence in the form of a community of successful people who are doing the concept, have deployed the ideas, who are there willing to discuss and have conversations with you about the ideas. What resonates with you is unimportant. If the ideas actually work so well that there's a large community of people who are doing it and ready to help you, that trumps anything that might resonate or feel right. Put your emotions aside, think rationally, find a group of people who are doing it with excellence, hang out with them, learn from them, save yourself so much time, effort, and energy stumbling around in the dark. There are endless dead ends on the internet. I would say 95% of everything that's flying around out there claiming it can help you is just a complete dead end. Do you remember my litmus tests I told you about earlier? This is the way you can tell if an idea is worthy of your pursuit. Where's the community of people who are doing the idea successfully, who are hanging out all day, every day, discussing the reality of this business model, showing their success stories, talking to people about the questions they have, gently ushering them in the right direction and away from the disastrous, tragic outcomes that they otherwise might fall into. That's what we do here. We do so much of that for free. So if this resonates with you and you'd love to come check out some of our free content, keep scrolling back in time on this podcast. We've interviewed, like I said, hundreds of successful students over the years, dozens of recent interviews, a whole bunch on my calendar coming up. People who just basically raise their hand in our Facebook group and say things like, oh my goodness, guys, this really worked. I just had my first $10,000 month, my first $30,000 month. My profit margins are going up. Thanks for the tips. Thanks for the strategies, guys. People who say that, we privately message them and say, hey, love your story. You want to hop on the podcast and share what you've learned? We'd love to get to know you better. And some of them say yes. Most of them say, no, I don't really want my name out there. I don't want my face out there, which, by the way, if you don't want your name and face out there, we can do an anonymous audio podcast. We'd rather help you build relationships and get your name out there because you're on a leadership journey, and part of your success journey is to share your name, share your face, be proud of what you've built, encourage and inspire others. That brings opportunity. But if you don't want to do that, we'd still love to have you on the show. We'd still love to have an interview with you where it's audio only, first name only. We'll even change your name if you want us to. So no one will be reaching out to you. You won't be building any relationships, won't be hearing from anyone. But the point is, that's where all these stories come from, is our Facebook group, the discussions in there, the students who have been through our training, proven, amazoncourse.com, or they've had a coach on our team. They reached out to us at silentjimdotcom and set up an appointment, had a conversation about coaching, and we got them rolling there. That's how we save you a ton of time. We've carved out a trail. Instead of wandering through the woods of e-commerce with a blindfold on, bumping into trees in the dark, how about you take the blindfold off? You hop on the trail with a friend from our team and go as far as you want, as fast as you want, because we really have placed some amazing trails in this industry and the future is very bright. Let's take that journey together. Hope you'll join us. Or just listen to a few more podcast episodes and decide if this is as legit as it sounds. Don't listen to me, though. You don't have to decide how you feel about me. That's irrelevant. Jump into the Facebook group. See the quality of the conversations and the interactions and the people supporting each other. That's where the truth lies. Hang out there. I can't wait to see what you think of it. Thanks for hanging out with me today as I went through my list of T's. I probably should have come up with a few more, but this is a plenty long episode. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, my friend. Thanks for giving me some of your most valuable asset, your time, one of our T's from today. And we'll have another great episode for you very soon. Most of them are interviews with successful students. We've got several good ones lined up. Hey, if you're listening to this and you know you should be on this podcast, I just want to give you a little encouragement. Reach out to us. If we've served you well, if you've built a successful business of any scale, you could be such an encouragement to others. Reach out to us. Let's get you on the show and interview you. Hey, more good episodes coming very soon. God bless you, business building warrior. Talk to you then.